Hey everybody, welcome back to Lane Yacht Garage. So, in today's video, it might be a longer one, I'm not really sure, but I wanted to go over a couple of things. One, update on the Corvette, because there has been a lot that has not been on video. Renovation for the channel, re-renovation. I'm going to start actually putting some effort back into it, and talking about a new project for a couple of seconds. So let's start off with the Corvette. So this car, as you already know, I've said it 1,000 times, I got it from my uncle's estate in November. Didn't really touch until February, and that's when I started filming videos on it. Filmed 5 videos on it. And since the last time you guys saw it, well, let's go back. So, I didn't drive it until after I pulled out the original motor and transmission and refreshed it, put it back in. So, on that first test drive, after, which this was mentioned, I believe, in May subscriber update, drove it to the gas station, brought it home. There's a stoplight right down the road, and it got up to like 220, 230, and got home, shut it off, original radiator exploded. Okay? So it sat for a while, actually right where I have the tripod, because I didn't have my addition up yet, and I ordered a new aluminum radiator off Amazon, a 3-core I think it is. Got it in, started it up. This is actually when I was putting up my addition at that point. Started it up and there was motor noise. So I'm like, kind of sounded like lifters. So I'm like, okay, it sat for a couple of days. I got back on it and it was rod knock. So, I thought it was something else. It was not. Come to find out, the original motor spun the number 1 rod bearing. So, I actually have the bearing right over there. I might show you guys. After that, it sat. I brought it in here, and that's when I did the subscriber update. And then, I pulled the original motor out of it again. So, pulled the original engine out of it again. Took it apart, figured out that it was fucked. Sat for a couple of days, and then I found this engine that I got royally fucked on, because I'm not sure if the guy that I got it from is a liar or the guy that he got it from, but this engine was advertised as a 1970 Chevy 350 LT1. Which would be 370 horse. Well, I didn't know it at the time, but it was freshly rebuilt, which according to the cam and lifters, that is true. With that being said, that means I had to break in a flat tappet cam. So, I got it out of this guy's basement. That was not fun. Put it in the truck, put it on a stand, painted it up, and threw it in the car. Well, I didn't think of checking anything. I go to fire it up outside, and it was just backfiring and whatever. Come to find out, the valves were completely adjusted, completely wrong. So, I had to redo all the valve lash. And in the process, one of them was so loose, the push rod jumped on the side of the lifter, got stuck in the head, and broke it trying to get it out. So I had my spare 350 at the time, threw a new push rod in it, adjusted the valves, 2,000 RPM for 20 minutes. I had to actually shut it off at 10 because a thermostat that I put in it was stuck. So that was great. So I had to do all that and then restart it up for another 10 minutes. Easiest cam break-in I've ever dealt with. And then when I shut it off, I looked underneath, and there was precisely a puddle of oil about this big out of the oil pan. So I went to my buddy's house. He had a chrome pan and a two-piece gasket. So I jacked it up in here, dropped all the steering, dropped the oil pan while it was in the car. Did that, pulled off the rear main bearing, and figured out that the main bearings are awful. Like, mostly copper showing. Completely, just ignore it, okay? That's what I did. I just put it back together like any reasonable human would do. Just put it back together, forget that you saw it. So, after that, come to find out there wasn't even a front pan seal in it. It was just made out of silicone. That's professional. Put the oil pan back on, took it down the road, still blowing oil out. So I'm like, what the f-? Come to find out, it was a timing cover also leaking. So, out came the radiator, out came the fan, water pump, accessories, balancer, timing cover, all of it. Fix that. There is still a little bit of an oil leak. Nothing as bad as it was before. I'll just keep adding oil. I don't care at this point. So that brings me to, that is not a 70 LT1. That is a 1972 350 with an 010 block. That's actually GM's high nickel block, so that's a good block. Out of a K10. But let me tell you, supposedly that this is like a 380 horse motor. It does not pull like a 380 horse, so I'm not sure if the block, and it has LT1 internals. I'm not sure, but let me tell you, this does not pull. Well, this car from the factory would have had a 195 horse 350. It pulls like it does have at least 300. So, I'm not sure if it has a cam or anything. So that brings me to when I painted it. Repainted it. Looks great. And trying to get all my facts straight here. It's been hectic. So I took it, kept overheating. I've done a couple of other things. I've gutted a thermostat for it. I don't even know what else. There's just been so much. So then, I was fighting this issue, driving it down the road. It would be fine from idle to about 4,500 RPM, and it would start backfiring. Come to find out, it was backfiring through the carburetor. So, I pulled the valve covers off. I actually cut open an old set of valve covers I had so I can adjust the valves while it was running. Adjust them while they were running. Put a full turn of preload, which is a lot, but it seemed to work. That fixed my issue. Well, I'm sure I've forgotten some stuff, but this brings us to last week. The week of my uncle's celebration of life that this car ended up going to. Surprise. So, it was all fine. It was running hot. It has never ran cool since I got it. Brought it to the gas station. Started at the gas station, and the starter sounded horrible, but it started. So, drove it home, shut it off, and I ended up making out of cardboard. It didn't work because it got wet. But there's all kinds of open thing here. So I made like a air dam to have the air go in the radiator. So I zip tied a piece of cardboard on, and then went to start it to go test it. And starter just made awful noise. So this brings us back to when I first put the original, this engine in. Typically on a small block, big block Chevys, Cadillac, 429s, anything that the most, except for LS I believe, is when the starter bolts to the block, sometimes you have to shim them. I had the opposite issue. The starter was barely touching. So I ended up fighting it, looking at different starters. So I believe my problem was 72 Chevy 350 actually uses a 305 starter. 305 and 350s are a different part number. I'm not sure if they're actually different or they're just different torque, because 350 is obviously more cubic inch. I'm not sure, but that's the only difference that I could find. Both 168 flywheels and everything. So what I had to do was actually shave the starter down where it bolts to the block. Took a flap wheel to it, shaved it down. That worked until, like I said, today at the gas station. So pulled it back out, messed with it some more, able to get it working better than it ever has. It is getting hot in here. It's supposed to be like 95 degrees in here, so it's going to be like 130 in here. So it's like 9 o'clock. I'm trying to get this video done. So, I shaved it down some more, and at this point I had like 3 days left to the celebration of life. Stripped the starter bolt, had to order these starter bolts, wait for them to come in, and then it was finally time. Celebration of life. So, get in this thing, drive it. It was about 30 miles. No, yeah, 30 miles. No, 30 minutes away. So whatever that is, I think it was like 15 miles. Drove it there. I got about 2 miles from, and keep in mind I had water in it at this time because I kept taking it apart, so I wasn't putting antifreeze in it. Got about a couple miles from the where it's happening. This motor went into nuclear meltdown, like 280. Pulled over to the side of the road, got it to cool down a little bit. Not enough. I didn't care. I just wanted to get there. We were already a little late, so I just drove it. It hovered around 260, 270. Not good whatsoever. Got there, shut it off, went into nuclear meltdown, and I forgot to add water when we left, which I drove it like a half a mile, a quarter of a mile away. I'm like, how's this thing already up to 220? Well, just pulled over. Luckily, there was a creek nearby. Wouldn't recommend adding creek water, but I did. And I had to put like 2.5 gallons in it, so it was bone dry. Drove it home again. Stopped at a gas station. It was all fine. It was staying a lot cooler, but when I got home, it went into nuclear meltdown again. 270, 280. So then, sat. It's good if like you don't drive it more than 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. It's fine. It stays right around 290, 200, 190 to 200. It's just when you take it for a long drive, and no matter what you do, you can be doing 80, you can be doing 20, or you could idle. It overheats. So I did some more improvements on it. So that's when I put a gutted thermostat, because at that time I had no thermostat in it. Put a gutted thermostat, put antifreeze in it. And I think that was about it. So I'm like, okay, this has to fix my problem, right? Like, everything's new. Took it around. There's like a couple of towns that we go around, and I have relatives in the next town over. So took it around, and let me tell you, I've never overheated a vehicle as bad as I overheated this thing. Like 300 degrees. And obviously you don't want to keep doing that. Head gaskets don't like that. Nothing likes that. But I had no choice, really. I mean, sure, I could have pulled over and waited a half an hour for the damn thing to cool down. Or I could just drive it home. So, I got it home. And that's where I'm at now. Filled it up with antifreeze some more. Took the hood off. Drove it 6 miles, and it got up to 220. I didn't drive it further enough to see if it got above 220. Granted, 220 ain't good, but Chevrolet knew that these cars had overheating problems because there's barely any grill. Overheating technically is like 250, 260. So that brings me to what is happening. I have been working. I'm sure there's been more issues that I've forgotten about. Oh, so the steering column. I had flop in the steering shaft. I fixed that. There was a section in the last video, but I edited it out. Now I have steering column flop where it tilts. Pissing me off. The car has no power steering. It needs a carpet kit. The under hood looks like shit now because oil and overspray. I laid paper over the engine, but it still got under. Brings me to another issue. On the way back from the celebration of life, I completely forgot about this. It started doing the popping thing again. So pulled the valve cover off the other day, and the number one rocker, I'm not sure if that's intake or I believe it's intake. The number one rocker on the passenger side bank was loose. And at that point it was already showing more threads than all the other ones. I thought it was pulling the stud out of the block, but I'm pretty sure I have a collapsed lifter. A collapsed hydraulic lifter, because I have it tightened all the way down as tight as it will go, and there's still a tiny bit of tapping. Collapsed lifter, that's the only thing. It's not a cam lobe. Oil has no metal in it. Oil filter has no metal in it. It's a lifter, or so I believe. So then the spark plug wires, the old spark plug wires that were on it, my new old ones, kept hitting the headers and melting. So I went and spent $60 on yellow Excels that are now black because the whole underside of this hood is just coated in oil, and I don't have any degreaser right now to take care of it. Put them on, it runs a whole lot better. After I did tighten up that rocker, it did stop popping through the intake. So, and then, I forgot to mention this, I ended up getting a set of Kragers for the car. Bought them for $300. Tires were okay. They were a little dry rotted. Went to put them on, figure out that I need wheel spacers. Well, about $120 in wheel spacers later, that didn't fit. I had to make them fit, and they weren't great. I put the Kragers on. Tires were slightly dry rotted, but nothing bad, great tread. So, put them on. Got the lug nuts, and this is at the same time when I overheated the crap out of it. Between over 30, tires are flat spotted. And after I spent $40 to get new valve stems installed. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Swap back to my rallies. I'm keeping rallies on it. I wanted Kragers. It looked great with the Kragers. But I would have to spend $500 on new tires, and not a fan of wheel spacers. I'm like, you know what? I'm selling them. Sold them for $500. I broke even. Whatever. So, the car still needs a lot of work. I have been literally working on this car every day since February. Pretty much. And I'm over it. I did list it up for sale. Couldn't bring myself to sell it, so I took the ad down. And I'll tell you this. I'm buying my 15th vehicle today. And I've worked on hundreds. Classics, Model Ts, Rolls Royces, Mercedes, newer garbage, everything. Diesels, big trucks, no matter what. Everything. I've never had a vehicle fight me as hard as this one has. As of right now, I'm going to build my little air dam. See if that fixes my issue. If not, I'm going to have to spend $300 on a fan shroud because that's where I'm at now. It needs more exhaust. Right now I just have purple hornies on it, but the problem is they're angled down, so they scrape on like everything. No power steering. It needs a carpet kit. It smells like poop in there. So I gotta gut the whole interior. That's $500. The headlights don't go up on their own, so I gotta get electric motors for those. That's $150. Figure out engine issues. There's a lot. Cooling issues. More that I can't think of probably. And I'm burnt out of working on this thing. And I put about half of what I made in the last 4 months, a little over half, into this car. Which is, right now, after I bought the graders, I am sitting in this car for $6,000. And I can't keep doing it. I need to get something else. So, Corvette is gonna sit for a little while. I'm gonna put the hood back on it, seal it up, and it will be sitting for a while because I need a break from it. Oh, I think there was something else. I gotta remember it. So, taking a break. It will be back in probably a month or so, where I'll be doing the air dam, maybe buying a fan shroud by then, and I think that's about it. It still needs to be a reliable driver as it is in this stage. It needs another $1,000 to $1,500 worth of work. Not doing that right now. So, completely just lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? Future plans for the Corvette. So, not even sure if you guys want to hear this or anything, but eventually, a couple of years from now, it's gonna be a resto mod-ish. So, I gotta get a new frame for it. This frame has some issues. Was never put in a video for that reason. At some point, this driver's side control arm was ripped off, and the frame is not great there. So I'm gonna get another C3 Corvette frame. I know a guy that has one. I just need to talk to him about it. Have it sandblasted. I'm gonna prime it, paint it, do stage 3 suspension on it, big wheels. No, not big, like 18s. Suspension, and then I'm going to do a 6.0 LS. Nothing crazy, best factory heads, a stage 2 cam with valve springs, Holley sheet metal intake, run it off in a Terminator, do a vintage air system, have all the drivetrain, suspension frame done. So I just have to take this body, lift it off, plop it right on, wire everything, plumb everything, and it will be good. So, there's that. Eventually. That's a couple of years down the road here. But, that brings us to the re-renovation of the channel. I have gotten burnt out of making YouTube videos, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Over the winter, I don't have enough room because I didn't have this addition. Like, behind you is another 20 feet. You guys have seen it in videos. There wasn't enough room for a tripod when I was working on this car. There wasn't. Now that I have room for a tripod, I fixed my tripod that's been broken for a while. Then I'm like, I don't have enough storage on my everyday phone to do this. I don't. And calls come in, stops the filming, I listen to music and stuff. So, the other day, I got a new phone. This is my film phone. I was actually going to use the phone that I'm filming with to be my everyday phone and then use this phone to do videos with, but this camera's cracked. You kinda see, no you can't. this screen's cracked and it messed up the front camera, so this one's going to be the film phone. And yeah, I'm going to start filming again, regular videos. If you guys know of any good thumbnail makers, let me know. And that brings us to another thing. Obviously, YouTube hasn't paid me a penny. Obviously. And in order to make YouTube videos, it's costing me money for content. No matter what I do in a YouTube video, it costs me money. So, I'm not the person to beg for something. I have worked for everything I've ever gotten. But, in the description, by no means am I asking, more of a suggestion, not even a suggestion. Just, it'll be there. A Amazon wish list. And PayPal information. I'm not going to mention it in any videos. This is the only time I'm going to be mentioning it. And that's that. It will be in the description if anybody wants to. That's all I'm going to say. Because it ain't cheap. I mean, phone, $100 to film videos, tripod, 40, you know, just, and then parts for cars that I can make content with, and all of that. So, I'm going to be starting filming again, actually probably tomorrow, because I have a new project coming up. Here in the next couple of hours, I will be going to pick that up, and I'll probably throw a clip of it in this video. I'll go ahead and edit this video and throw a clip in there. I don't think there's anything else to update you guys on. No. And another thing. There's been a lot of videos on this car, and when you do multiple part videos to a vehicle, the views are not great. YouTube doesn't really like when you use a vehicle more than 3 times. So, when I've been only working on this, sucks for content. So, I guess that'll do it for this video. If there's anything I forgot, I'll add it in there. But, thank you guys for watching this video. Stay tuned. There are big things coming with the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. It's already like 110 degrees in here. I'm going inside in the AC.